Let's do it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hey, Jackie.
Hi, Eric.
What's happening?
Nothing. Just trying to close the top of my lotion. What are you doing?
I'm ready to do some con chat.
Yes, I think you went to a con that I bet a decent chunk of our listeners went to, which is, what con is that?
Emerald City Comic Con.
ECCC. Wait, ECCC.
Yes.
How come they haven't, EC cubed maybe?
I don't
EC cubed?
know.
Can we call it that?
I have a sweatshirt from a couple years ago that just has the letters ECCC on it, and
Yeah.
I think, and there's also a community college in our area called Edmonds.
We have one too.
Edmonds
Elizabeth
Community
City Community
College.
We have,
and I think a lot of people start like Edmonds Community College. Wait, why is there 3 C's on there? I'm like, Emerald City Comic Con. They're like, oh, they have sweatshirts for that?
Oh, I have questions for you regarding just the con itself that I want to hear about your experience, but a lot of you guys that watch from home may be feeling the same way I did. And now with C2E2, it's even more prevalent. Sci-Fi Wire, their on-site streaming situation they have going on, they streamed it exclusively and Twitch didn't stream it. ECCC also C2E2.
The costume contest?
The whole thing. Usually there'd be like main paint, in the past I've watched it all on Twitch. And now
really?
And they stripped both events off of Twitch, and now they were streamed on Sci-Fi Wire's YouTube channel.
Sci-Fi's YouTube. Yeah, it must be an exclusive thing they probably got with because they're both Reed Pop, so it's probably some kind of deal.
I think there's some company consolidation going on. I think that there's corporate behind the scenes, because to see Joanne's make a public commercial during C2E2.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, this is happening. Like, I think we're going to end up seeing some behind the scenes company consolidation. Like, I believe somebody's buying somebody or acquiring rights to something, or Sci-Fi is really trying to branch into streaming
There's
content.
Definitely a lot of behind the scenes conglomeration.
Yeah, you can see
corporate.
it.
I know
how I feel about it.
I don't really want to rant. I don't really want to turn into a rant about that.
Well, neither one of us are negative people in that way.
Because I kind of want to rant about it, but because here's the thing, Emerald City Comic Con's my local Comic Con. Like the biggest of the locals, the first Comic Con I ever went to, started doing it like 7 or 8 years ago with my kids. It went from being a fairly, medium to almost large sized local con to now it's a massive oversold conglomeration. And I don't know. I always have fun, but
yes,
I still find myself longing for the first couple years I started going, because I just feel like it's kind of overtaken by cons are commercial anyway, but there's just something about a hometown local con compared to a now huge con. They completely sell out the whole Washington State Convention Center. They've taken over like 2 or 3 hotels and their convention space too, because the convention center isn't big enough to hold everybody. And I've read, like, last year they I think the con usually is about 75 to 80,000, and I heard in the past 2 years they've bumped up attendance to like 95,000.
Yeah.
So they're anyway.
Well,
I still had a good time.
Right. And what you've just said isn't even remotely negative. Like the way but
the flavor of my of Emerald City being my local con, it's not there anymore.
Right. And the con, and the way you talked about it when we began talking about it years ago, and you're like, you used to tell me you got to go.
Yeah.
And like, you haven't said that in a while. And you usually, when something's great, you always tell me, like, Jackie, you got to do this. I wish you were here. And we talked, throughout the weekend, and it wasn't my normal Eric is having a freaking blast, even though you were with all your bros having a good time. It's like the people were great, but you weren't telling me all the great things about the con like you used to.
I pretty much go for the people now than the con itself, because it's like one of the few places I can see certain people, like our friend Steve from SKS Props. He always comes out.
And Sanet comes from New Zealand.
Sanet, what a workshop. He came back from New Zealand. That's actually the first place I met him, was at Emerald City 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
And you've got great memories at that event, like your makeup that we've talked about before, the dwarf.
But, and I've been thinking about this a lot, because I've been kind of having a retrospective in my head a little bit about different cons and the different feelings and the amount of cosplay and stuff. And for whatever reason, I kind of feel like Emerald City has peaked as far as that goes. And there was a couple, 2 or 3 years there where it was mind blowing. Like every top maker I know would come and just bring like the thing, boom. And it's still good, but I just feel like, I don't know if the community is like, a lot of the community is like in a lull and people are just kind of wading through whatever. But I just don't feel like it's as huge of a deal as it used to be. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how I feel. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it.
Well,
I'm not trying to diminish the people that were there and the costumes that were there, because there was some great stuff. And
it doesn't sound like you are.
And through my own fault, I wasn't there on Saturday, which is the big costuming day. So so I missed the big costuming day. That was a whole nother story, which I'd be happy to tell if we want to get into it.
Yeah, I do want to hear what happened, because, I talked to you that day and I was like, oh no, I saw like you were working, I knew you were working on that project and it was so cool. And I was like, what do you mean? Like you didn't get to take your, like, tell us what happened, why you didn't go. And
okay, so I was there Thursday night, Friday and Sunday, but I missed Saturday. Okay, so if you follow me on Instagram, which a lot of our listeners do, you'll know that about 3 days before the con, I was like, hey, I have an idea. I think this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I think I can make this happen in 3 days before the con. Of
course you thought that. Yeah, why not?
Because there's nothing like a little bit of con crunch to motivate you, right?
Yeah, nothing like an Iron Man challenge right before the con.
You must be referring to Bill and his, I'm going to build a whole Iron Man in 2 weeks. Do you remember when he did that?
Yeah, that was an actual Iron Man challenge. I forgot about that.
Way back when. That was several years ago. Okay,
with his brother, right?
No, what happened was his brother actually ended up finishing the costume, but Bill was like, I think he's embarrassed about it now. So we're embarrassing him by talking about it now. He's like, I'm going to build Iron Man in 2 weeks. But Rob took the beginning of that, and then the next year had Iron Man built out. Okay, so back to my story. So I had this Halo Master Chief helmet from Impact Props that I got in the Punish Props prop exchange like 2 years ago from the Prop Tarts group. And it's been sitting there, and I've been looking at all these. I mean, I don't know if you saw the thing I posted a couple weeks ago. I've got like 13 or 14 unfinished kits sitting around, and everybody knows I love finishing and painting. So, so I've seen that Halo helmet a few times, and I was like, I'll never build a Halo costume because I just don't have any interest in it, in building that kind of costume.
Right.
But I was like, I need to figure out something really kind of cool to do with this helmet. And then I remembered a while back, I remember seeing a few photos maybe from Dragon Con a couple years ago where people had essentially taken the Daft Punk concept and applied it to Star Wars characters. And so they had like a Darth Vader.
Like formal Vader.
Yeah. So they had like the, the Eurotrash punk thing, Daft Punk with the LED lights and the chrome helmets. And I thought, that Master Chief helmet would probably look really cool chromed out with with lights in the shield. So 3 days before the con, I decide, I can pull off a perfect finish, because to do chrome, it has to be perfect. Because if you have any mistakes in chrome, it shows. The one mistake you see is like, boom, it's just glaring because everything else is so shiny and smooth. So I set out to do a perfectly finished chrome helmet in 3 days. How do you think it went?
Well, I know how it went. But
did you read all my Instagram posts about it?
Yeah.
I fully detailed this later on Instagram, but let's see if I can tell this story short. Basically, it went really well the first day. I have an HVLP system now, and so I was able to sand the helmet, have it ready to go, have it primed in urethane primer. Urethane primer is amazing because you can shoot it really, really heavy. And within an hour or two, depending on where you live and what the weather is, you can literally sand it like within an hour or two, and we're not talking like gummy sand, like, it's sort of dry. Urethane primer cures. So it's like powdered sanding so I knew that I had the tools and probably the experience to pull this off. It went really well. I got all the sanding done, like 5 passes of sanding. I wasn't going for pure automotive finish. I just wanted decent amount of finish, enough to where I could be proud that I made this thing. I got the clear coat. I got the base gloss because you have to have base gloss for most chrome paints. At this point, I hadn't decided if I wanted to chrome paint it or to use the graphite finish that I've shared on YouTube, and I did a video with Bill about. So I got all the way up
and
to.
he said base gloss. I want to highlight that because I in the past have sanded to like 1,000 grit and then used a beautiful matte finish. Don't do that. Use a gloss finish because you'll be very unhappy that you've sprayed something that has to cure and it's the wrong choice. So the gloss finish.
Although if you get your matte finish down right, you can go gloss clear over that and get it glossy. So there's a couple different ways to get there.
Yeah.
I had all clad gloss black on hand. I was going to use all clad paints for the base because it's lacquer and it dries quick. And I'm like, I have to do this quickly. I got the gloss down. I finally decided that, well, if I'm going to make a mistake, it's probably going to be in the final paint. And I know that the rubbed on chrome graphite, is kind of harder to mess up because you just rub it on. Whereas if you're spraying chrome over something, in this case, it would have been all clad aircraft aluminum chrome. You run into flashing issues and runs and all those kind of things. And in the interest of time, I thought I'm just going to hit it with the graphite rubbed on graphite finish. It's a pretty cool finish. It's not exactly chrome, but it looks pretty nice,
Yeah. And it's it's more user friendly. Like you've just said, like those of you listening, that is something you should look into if you struggle. I've struggled with the flashing when the temperature, humidity issues are wrong. Man, I was just trying to cut out sometimes.
I was just trying to cut out variables and try to get things done as quickly as possible. Yeah. Is really what it was about.
For the time frame. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did the graphite. It looked pretty good. There was a couple little mistakes. I was able to fix those. And then something occurred to me. I thought, I wonder how a lacquer paint would work over the top of the graphite finish.
Okay. You decided to experiment last minute.
I did last minute. And every ounce of my makerness said, don't do that because you don't have time to test it, which means I'd be testing on the actual piece. And there was just something inside of me that said, you know what? You really should try that. You really should.
No, it's me. I was the one I'm the voice.
Yes.
Normal Eric never would have done that. That's
little Jackie was over here. Try it. So what I did was I thought, I'm going to be smart about this. There's a back part to the helmet. I'm going to try a cup and it has like a gradated step, right? So I figured if I sprayed it in like the first two gradations and it didn't come out quite right, nobody ever noticed because it's on the back of the costume. Nobody ever looks at the back anyway, other than other prop makers or other costumers. And I could probably get by if it screwed it up. So I get the airbrush ready to go. I spray it on and you know what happens? It looks amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was like, because my problem with the graphite finish is it kind of creates a dark chrome, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted a more lighter, like actual chrome style. And so my thought was the airframe aluminum over the top of the graphite might give me that perfect combination of sheen and lightness of chrome. And it did. And it looked incredible. And I was like, okay, because you know what, we've on the podcast, listeners, they know we've talked about chrome finishes a lot and like the holy grail of chrome, right? Of quick chrome, not like real rhodium. Yeah, not like the other systems that are out there that are thousands of dollars. Yeah. But a good, like convincing, it's not going to be perfectly mirrored, but a really good looking, wow, I can't believe that's paint and or whatever type of chrome. And I tell you, I thought I found it. I thought I found the holy grail. And I was like, I can't wait to make a YouTube video about this. I am going to blow people's minds because I did it. I freaking did it.
I'm so sad that there's a downside to this story because it sounds like great. That's great, Eric.
I know, right?
Get that off
I know. And I was so excited and I was just like, this is it. This is the secret. This is the secret to a good, convincing, fake, quick chrome. All right. So I finished the back plate of the helmet and it looks amazing. Consequently, I never took any photos of it for whatever reason. I think I think I was pissed off. So everybody, you have to take my word for this. And then I was like, okay, this is going to work. This is totally going to work. And I used the same I used the same amount of motion, the same amount of speed. And the helmet has like a really long dome on it, right? And I hit the dome and it started looking good, and then it clouded over. Wah, wah, wah.
No, it's happened to me. I hate that, man. There's nothing like that feeling. It sucks it right out of your soul too, because it'll be perfectly crystal clear on one side and not on the other. Exactly.
And I don't know if it was my speed. I don't know if it was, I don't know. Maybe it was varying temperatures. It could be 100 different things. The angle
in which you spray. Like, there's so many freaking variables, dude.
Exactly. And then I just had that sinking feeling of like, and mind you, I was only about, it was overnight. So I was about almost 24 hours into this 3-day. So, I still had a couple days left to mess with things, but I wanted to install electronics and stuff too. And I wanted time for that. And I just had that sinking feeling, cause I went from like greatest day ever, I found the holy grail of quick chrome, to like super huge fail. You're an idiot. You're never going to be able to finish this in time. Why did you do that? Because it looked pretty good. I mean, as it was with just the graphite, I would have been fine. I would have been proud of what I had. And then so, I had a choice. It's like I either try to finish this thing or I just set it aside and don't worry about it. Well, I'm not one to let a project beat me. And so by then it was like, okay, this is not going to beat me. So my only choice was to get out the lacquer, the acetone basically, and, go through the tedious process of stripping the whole thing back down. Fortunately, you could strip it back down to the urethane without any problem, because urethane, once it cures, is like, it doesn't dissolve again.
Wow. That's a huge advantage. That's
it
awesome.
Is a very well, and I didn't know that, because at first I was using alcohol and it wasn't taking it off as well. And then I got impatient. I was like, well, I'll try urethane, even if it takes off a little bit I'll use acetone, and even if it takes off a little bit of the urethane, I can always just kind of resand it and clean it up. But it was great. It took it all the way down to the urethane primer without any issues. Wow. And that was good. But I was still fighting, like, once you've kind of done that, and I don't have like any lint-free cloths or anything, you just end up with like a lot of little particles and a lot of little things, and it's so hard to get things clean again, right?
We just did the exact same thing except for the urethane part. My Anduin helmet was the first one I showed you. Remember how flawlessly chrome it was, and the final product was not. Because I ran into a deadline issue and I had the cloudy spray, and I stripped one down over there with acetone, just like you. Yeah. And I couldn't get it, even though I stripped it back down, it wasn't pretty again.
Yeah, it's so hard unless you have like a hermetically sealed room and like lint, like a ton of lint-free cloths and all this stuff. So basically, I redid it. I resprayed it with the black. I got it back up to where it was. And I did the graphite again, just thinking, okay, I'm just going to do graphite. It looks good enough, even though it's a little dark for my tastes. And it just looked like crap. I really hated it. I was just like, I am so defeated right now. And so that was, I still had like a half a day or a day and a half to go. And so I did the only thing I could naturally do, which is strip it again.
Oh, gosh, man. I feel your pain.
Because again, this project at this point, it's like, I'm not even caring about the con. It's like, I'm just not going to let this thing beat me. You ever get in that mindset where it's like a challenge, right?
Yeah. It's like, it's you and that object are going to war together, and it's that object is intentionally doing all the 1% things that could go wrong back to back. And it's like, this is not fair. The world is testing me. It becomes a personal challenge of mental troubleshooting and endurance. Exactly.
So for the second or third time, this time though, since I hadn't put the lacquer on it, all I had to do was just kind of strip it down to the gloss black again. Yeah. Which again was having issues with kind of not being clean enough and being like spotty and all that. And I knew that I didn't really want to completely strip it all the way down yet again. And so as a last ditch effort, I was out of urethane primer, or I probably would have just used that again. As a last ditch effort, I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna make this happen in some way. And the only way I could figure to get rid of all the imperfections was just to completely douse it in primer. Right. So, I
was for sure on your shoulder. This is sounding a lot like so I'm like, you're so meticulous.
Which is not, not atypical for me. And I was just like, screw it. I was out of urethane primer, so I knew I had to wait. That was the biggest problem, was I knew I'd have to wait. But I had a couple cans of my favorite rattle can primer, which I used before I started using urethane primers, which is just ultra flat gray Krylon, because it has, you can spray it pretty heavy without it running. And in a course of like 30 minutes, I used a can and a half on one helmet, right? Whoa. I mean, I just like went balls out.
And you knew you were going to die wearing it because of the fume. You were just like, I don't even care anymore. I'll wear a respirator under it.
So I did that. It was, I don't remember what time it was. I'm just like, I'll just let it sit for as long as I can until the next morning. Mind you, the con was starting the next day on a Thursday. And so I was still like,
Oh, this was Wednesday night.
Wednesday night that I doused it in rattle can primer. Okay. And I have my little paint booth. So I set up I have a space, like an oil based space heater. I put that in my paint booth, closed my little curtain, cranked up the space heater. So it's like 90 degrees in my paint booth, and I basically cooked it overnight. Right.
That's hilarious.
So the next morning, I had to go to work the next morning. I did the con Thursday night. So Thursday night after the con, after a couple beers, and like, I don't know, I got home like at 11 o'clock. I look at it, and
that doesn't sound like a good start.
No, and the primer looked great. So I was like, wow, I'm surprised. And it was not completely cured, because if I sanded very much, it would gum up the paper, and that's how you know if primer's cured or not, is if it gums up your paper. But because I sprayed it so heavy and thick, but it was good enough that if I just swapped out for a bunch of pieces of sandpaper. So that night I stayed up resanding it, basically from 0.0 up to, I think I started with either 220 or 320, and then went all the way up to 1,000 grit so I could respray it again. So the next morning it looked, and I just worked until I couldn't stand being up any longer. The next morning I woke up, which was Friday of the con, and surprising. You ever do that where you work really late, you have no idea if what you did worked or not, or if it looks good or not, and you wake up to, I really hope that worked, because
all the time. Yeah, every time. Actually, I never know if it's gonna work. I'm like, what did I do yesterday? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So lo and behold, it looked great. It looked really good. It actually even looked better than the first time, the very, very first step of primer, and mostly because it just had so many layers on it already. And for this particular helmet, it was working really well, because I was okay with it being like losing edges and stuff, because I was going for that sleek Euro look, because I had already like all the little details and things I had already filled in, and there was some detail. I wanted it to be like sleek and like futuristic looking, not like hard and combat looking like a Halo helmet normally does. So it kind of just smoothed everything out, and it actually worked. And I was like, holy crap, I might actually make it. So I was out of the all-clad paint. So I was relying all on rattle cans. I happened to have, and I was out of gloss, but I didn't want to run to the store. So I had a can of flat black, and I was like, well, I think I'll just hit it with flat black. And
who are you? You're the best dude. That sounds crazy.
I'll hit it with flat black.
What happened?
I'll hit it with flat black, and when I come back from the con, that should be cured enough so I can hit it with some gloss, some lacquer, some gloss lacquer. Right. I get back from the con, it was cured enough. I hit it with gloss lacquer, and I was like, holy crap, this is actually going to work. Actually going to work. Now, mind you, I wanted to wear it on Saturday. This was Friday night. Okay.
Gloss lacquer applied Friday night.
Friday night gloss lacquer. So I wake up Saturday morning. I look at it, and I'm like, I'm going to nail this. This is going to work. I can't believe this is going to work. Yeah. So I do my graphite application. Comes out really good. It's looking really great.
How did you apply it, with a fiber cloth thing?
I just use cotton balls.
Oh, cotton balls. Oh, okay.
Cotton balls. Yeah. And basically it was the helmet. I did the buffing, and other than, needing the face shield and the electronics installed. Oh, and also at the same time I was creating I bought a kit from LE Props. He has a glove kit, the Daft Punk glove kit. So it's like the armor for the glove. So I didn't really share that when I was doing it, but while I was doing the helmet, every step I did on the helmet, I did on the gloves too. So, and I had the gloves ready to go, cause I stayed up that night finishing, gluing all the plates on the gloves. And I was like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make and my goal was to make it to the Prop Tarts meetup on Saturday. It started at like 4:30. And I was like,
Okay.
I think that's doable. The con is open till 7. It cuts back on the con a little bit, but I'll have something fun to wear at the Prop Tarts meetup, and like, again, I wasn't going to let it beat me.
Right.
And before that, before I had even started this whole project, I had already researched the LED strips. I had already had the Arduino stuff set up. I already had the strips built. All I had to do was install them. Right. Because the very first thing I did was tried the electronics, because if the electronics hadn't worked, I wouldn't have spent all this time trying to finish the helmet.
And at the end, when you're done, you got to tell a little side story of who you got your EL.
Oh, I will. Yeah. And because he bailed me out because, there's a little bit of story in that too. Yeah. So I was feeling really great. The graphite looked great. It wasn't perfect. It was actually still better than the very first application, which I screwed up. And so I was feeling really good about it. I had already pre-built all the electronics. All I had to do was install them. I had tested them over and over and over again because you're very paranoid about that. I get everything installed, and I go for that first test run with it installed, and nothing happens with the lights. And I'm thinking, no, this was not expected, because I was thinking the whole time my Achilles heel was going to be the paint. And if it was not going to happen, it was going to be because the paint didn't happen. I nailed the paint good enough. It's not perfect, but it was good enough for this con, for what I wanted to achieve. I was very proud of that. So I do the thing, I do the troubleshooting, I test all the connections, I make sure everything's connected right. I double check it with the wiring diagram, and nothing. And then I realized that on the Arduino board that I was using, it's a blue fruit feather, which is from Adafruit, which controls the RGB NeoPixel lights. There's a power light on there, and it wasn't blinking, even though everything was connected. So I thought, well, maybe something happened to the board when I was installing everything. So I hooked it. So I connected it to my computer. I tried to send code to it, because that's how the program runs, is that like they call it a sketch with the Arduino. I just downloaded the sketch from Adafruit that they did a Daft Punk build. I just was just using their sketch, and I tried to send the information to the board, and the little warning on the computer is like, we don't detect a board connected. So I fried the board.
Something fried it. Oh wow! I wonder what fried it. Do you think?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay.
Well, my one guess is, do you know what the JST connectors are?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So those little JST connectors for the boards.
I have one in the
stuff.
Zenyatta orb. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have a JST plug. I forgot to order one.
Okay.
To connect into the board. So I had kind of created my own connector. And I think maybe the positive and negative might have touched each other, even though I had them separated, but I think somehow it might have crossed. Yeah, I think somehow it crossed streams and it fried my board. That's my guess, because I can't really think
experts. It happens all the time.
Yeah,
even experts.
Yeah.
So it's
what
can you do?
And so by then, it was a day of high and a day of lows, because by then it was pushing 4 o'clock. It takes 45 minutes to get to the conference center from where I live, at least another 15, 20 minutes to park. By the time I had got down there, even without something cool to show off, the meetup was probably going to be over by the time I got there.
The cosplayer in me, or like the maker in me that adds not just the friend, but the person that admires your work.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people listening are like, we would have just been chill with you bringing the helmet. Like, that helmet looks so good. It's so shocking. And you would have been able to, talk about your process and stuff. Like, you're so critical of your work, because it didn't need to light up to be an awesome thing.
Well, the thing is for me, it's like, that was the Daft Punk part of it. That was the thing. It was your vision. Yeah, that pushes it into that other level of like, okay, yeah, it's a crossover. And here's the other thing too. I don't know, and not like any of the Prop Tarts or anything. That would have been cool, but like the first random person that would look at me and go, "Hey, that's a cool helmet. Does it light up?" or why doesn't it light up? I don't know if I could
say
hold.
Yeah, but it's voice activated and you have to know the special word.
Well, I wasn't sure I could hold back on the throat punch. So
you would just have somebody following you around just saying, light up, on, go. That would be way worse.
So in the interest of not assaulting somebody, I decided I would stay home.
I get it. Yeah, I understand. But as someone who, you guys, like the people that I've met that listen to us, I always have something that's awful. Like my shield that I hung yesterday with the bad hook, that thing is jacked up, dude. And I still wore it at Alcon because I get to tell everybody, don't freaking try to ship foam clay after 3 days if it's that much foam clay. Give that stuff like 2 weeks to cure or dry.
Yeah.
But I know it's like in that moment, you weren't in the mind state to be ready to want to have to go share your failure with everyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it wasn't even that, because had I gone, I probably wouldn't even brought the helmet with me. I'd just been like, yeah, I was working on something, but it didn't work out. I'll talk about it later or whatever. And here's the thing. I actually got in my car and started driving, and I got about 10 minutes away from home. And I was just like, I think I just want to be home right now. So I drove back home.
So funny,
I drove back home, and my wife's like, well, why are you here? And I said, I think I just want to hang out with you for the afternoon and the rest of the evening instead of going back to the con. She's like,
I think that's super relatable though. Like I know a lot of people that we have a lot of friends that feel that way. Like when a project defeats them, sometimes they don't want to be around. It's an internal thing. You don't want to just sit around and talk about your stuff. You're exhausted. It's just hard to be yourself when you've had a loss, when you've had to take a loss.
Well, that, and also I was also very fatigued too, because I was working like my regular day job trying to get this thing finished because I wasn't able to get time
saving
off.
people's lives and stuff, and like fighting crime.
Usually I'll take time.
Being a superhero.
Thank you. But usually I'll take time off right before the con, like a couple days before, but I wasn't able to get it off. So I was still working and then going back and forth from work, trying to get the helmet done, going to the con, trying to get the helmet done. And I don't know what, the cumulative amount of sleep I had in that 5 days wasn't much. And I was just like, it was just a better decision to just not be around people. But I went back on Sunday and I had a great time, I left the helmet at home. I didn't bring it or anything. And it was a story to tell people, and people seem to be interested in it. So,
and it makes people feel better to know that like you are somebody, to me, you don't make a lot of mistakes. We talk all the time and I've asked you for advice on things. Like when I do make a mistake, it's very often in this podcast, me making mistakes. And
I make many, many mistakes, and I'm pretty upfront about that. You don't make that
many. I mean, I can only think of one other mistake I know that you've made in our podcast history, and that's that silicone thing without the mold release. But one thing.
Yeah,
or
it happens.
Not cure. Something happened with your silicone.
I don't remember. Yeah, well, silicone.
The Wonder Woman sword thing, and you were like, "Oh no."
Oh yeah. Oh that. Yeah. That was.
See, I remember.
That was mold. That was the second time I redid the Wonder Woman mold, and I forgot mold release. Yeah, it does. And and the thing was, I wasn't like super depressed about it or anything. I was just and also it's a little bit like when a job is finally done, when you have to call it because you can't finish it, or you're done because it's done. It's just a very nice pressure relief as well. So.
Yeah, it really is. I know that moment of like, it's like flipping a switch in your head when you've decided, yes, it's done or it's not. It is freeing. Like it is freeing to just decide in that moment.
Yeah.
And otherwise you're almost always kind of thinking about it. Like even when I'm inside or eating a bowl of cereal, just standing in the kitchen, I'm like, you're always analyzing what you should go do next.
Precisely. So that was the kind of the majority of my days at the con. I had a great time. I did have a good time. I wasn't there in costume any of the days. Which is a different feeling all of itself, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to just hang out and not be worried about being in costume and being uncomfortable and all that. So I have a lot of people ask me, it's like, are you even making costumes anymore? And I'm like, I don't know. When the right costume comes along and I feel like it has to be something that for me to invest the time at this point in my life, it has to be something that's like, I kind of can't live without, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah, it does.
I mean, without sounding totally dramatic or something, but it's like for me to invest the time, because I don't know, the older you get, the more time just seems to be slipping away, and I just don't really want to dedicate my time to things that aren't super important to me. So
yeah, I get that. I've done I mean, it happens to me all the time. I have an obnoxious amount of not finished projects that my fan base and our listeners here are like, Jackie, when are you finishing this? I was really looking forward to seeing it. And in the beginning, that was really hard to hear, and you don't want to let people down because they want to see your version of something cool because they followed the progress. But sometimes when your time is being asked of elsewhere, you have to decide the older you get, like finishing that costume isn't going to be like, it doesn't mean enough to me right now to like stop all these other things going on.
Yeah.
You have to like pick and choose your time. I don't know what happens, but like the older you get, time moves by faster or something.
It does. It's crazy. It's super crazy. So tell
us how you got the lights though.
Oh yes, the light story. So so as I was researching,
I thought this was cool. I was like, dude, that's our buddy.
I had researched the lights a little bit, and we've talked about Joel from 3D Printing Nerd before on the podcast, and he's also somebody that is going to be a guest this season, so you can look forward to that. And he did the Adafruit build with their 3D printed helmet as a video and stuff. So if you go to 3D Printing Nerd on YouTube, you can watch his version that he did of the Adafruit build. And
he has a massive following, and he is so fun to watch.
Yeah, so following his video and following the Adafruit build is how I did my electronics. And I was trying to do it as least expensive as possible. And the Adafruit NeoPixels, a roll of those are like $100. So I was looking on Amazon, and Amazon had a pre-built matrix, which was like the perfect size for the helmet, which is a circuit board, right? And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And it's only $35. Right? So I'm just like, I'll just buy that. Okay. So I get it in the mail. One thing I never considered was you can't see through a circuit board.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't have even until just now. It didn't occur to me either.
Right? It never even crossed my mind that you have a circuit board. Funny. It's going on the shield in front of your eyes. You're completely blind because it's a black board. It's completely opaque.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang it. And this was like 3 days before I decided I wanted to build the helmet. I was trying to get the electronics lined up. So there was no NeoPixels, like the Adafruit branded NeoPixels on Amazon for like, in Seattle, a lot of this stuff I can get like day of or next day.
It's amazing.
Which is amazing.
So
but they weren't there. I couldn't get it that way. And it was at least 3 or 4 days to get it straight from Adafruit. And
I could have overnighted you. Next time, ask me.
Well,
I'll overnight it if it could get there in time.
So Joel, being a friend of mine, I knew he worked on his. I just texted him and said, hey, do you happen to have any extra NeoPixels? And he's like, I sure do. You want to come pick them up?
Of course he does.
You want to come pick them up right now? And this is like 8:30 at night on a weekday, right? Because I was like, okay, I'll just come over the next day or whatever. He's like, come over right now. They're yours.
Which is so fun as a fan. It's cool to be, we're friends with Joel, but it's as a fan too. It's like cool to go to the 3D Printing Nerd's house.
Yeah. So I got to go hang out at 3D Printing Nerd's house for 20 minutes or so. Meet his big old dog. It's got a big dog. I'm not really a dog person per se because I'm allergic to him, but that dog was big.
Like a Mastiff or like a German Shepherd?
Not quite that big. Maybe like a large Rottweiler size. So,
gotcha. Okay. Thick and meaty.
Yeah. Anyway, Joel was able to supply me with a partial roll that he had, which ended up being even more than I needed. So
awesome.
Yeah. So I had that ready to go, and that was a great assist from our buddy.
Yeah.
Joel
also, like, visiting Joel comes with gifts too, right? Like, you got a fun little moment with Joel.
I don't know if I'm
Joel's a cool buddy.
I'm not supposed to disseminate that.
That's all we'll say. We won't say anything else about it.
Yeah.
But Joel, being a friend of Joel's, he's good to his friends.
Joel hooked me up.
He's a cool dude. He's such a nice dude, man. He's
a good
fun
guy.
and he's genuine and he looks out. He's cool.
Yeah. So that was a nice assist.
Good tag a buddy in. I like that. That's a cool story.
Even though it didn't work out, had Joel not had those and was generous enough to supply them to me, I wouldn't have had them in time, and it wouldn't even have been a possibility. It'd have been like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I can relax for 3 or 4 days of the con instead of con crunching every night. So why do we do this to ourselves, Jackie? That's what I want to know. Why?
No, dude.
What is with our brains?
It's rough. And everybody's doing it. Like a lot of people on social media, this C2E2, watching like the people still posting about crafting in the room. I'm like, I've never in my life been so happy that I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Competing like that is not for me.
Well,
I couldn't do it.
and the thing was, leading up to the con, I was perfectly fine with not having anything. Perfectly fine. And it was just like three, like a week before, I was like, maybe I should have something. And it's just like my brain just started, and it just wouldn't, you had to scratch that itch. Is that right? Scratch that?
Yeah,
itch? I had to scratch that itch,
yeah.
So what about you? What about, cause you spent the same weekend at
All-Con in Texas, which is a much smaller con in comparison. And I had a lot of you guys I know watch. I don't get this about Instagram. It's so weird. Like my Instagram numbers, I screenshot them just to keep them because after a while your numbers go away and it's just a default 1,000. So I've been screenshotting all of my views just so I have an accurate account because believe it or not, that matters in life. We talk about social media here and we talk about how it's just a way of life. There's a YouTuber I watch that's like, please like me on Facebook because it's the largest social media monopoly in the world and it matters. And that's the truth.
It's true. Yeah, it is. If you're trying to make any kind of name for yourself, if you want to work with companies, if you want to be a guest at cons,
you gotta have it.
Whether you like it or not, the numbers do matter.
Yeah, they do.
Because that's what bean counters look at. They look at numbers because that's the only thing they can contextualize.
Yeah, and they don't know if you have an awesome rad personality and you can multitask and bring in people. They don't know that.
Nope.
It's just in the cold email world, it's truly just numbers, which is what it is.
It is.
And so I love how my Instagram stories, I feel like I'm the person that like I would have done well on Vine. Vine feels like a happy home for me.
Oh, yeah,
and I never
Vine.
got that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I've made Instagram stories. It's a mini Vine within Instagram and I like it. But the problem is it doesn't equate to anything for me because it's not a feed thing. So I have to keep my numbers and then show people, hey, I get this number. People do like to watch
I haven't thought about that in that context.
Yeah, it's helped me to do that.
Since
but
it disappears, you don't really have like a counter of like, hey, this is the kind of viewership I have on my stories as opposed to like.
Before it expires, I get my peak numbers and screenshot them. And then I'll try. I also try to keep a running record in my head of like my people that watch a lot too. A girl that watches all my Instagram stories. I reached out to her recently. I was like, hey, you're such a big supporter. Can I send you a free pattern? Because it matters. Those people watching my stories help me, even though it's not the likes on my feed. It's a different way I'm trying to chisel my own way of social media. And I like the stories. It's my thing. But my point in that was my highlights are still on my Instagram from Texas. I had a freaking lizard dude, Mr. freaking Cooper, essentially. If you don't know who that is, that's it's like a family joke.
Are you talking about my daughter's lizard?
Yeah, it's Cooper, right?
Yeah, Mr. Cooper Booper.
Yeah, Mr. Cooper Booper. He's got an Instagram, and he's a very fancy lizard. And a cousin to Mr. Cooper rolls up in a remote-controlled Jeep in front of me with a Bluetooth, like, Beats speaker thing on the back, playing music, and he's just laying in the front seat, rolls up, no context in front of me. And I was like, where am I?
Are you serious?
And I put it on my Instagram feed because I was like, I gotta record this.
How did I miss that?
Because it was like a late night one.
Oh, okay. All right.
And but it's on there. You can see it, and that's a real thing. And then he drove off, stayed about 8 minutes, and left. And I never met the person controlling the Jeep, which is the craziest part. You know, like who was this person that brought? And I'm in like we were kind of by ourselves because we were watching this guy get body painted, which is really cool. They had live body painting there. And it was a female first with pasties and stuff, and it was Mrs. Marvel. They did her as.
Oh yeah.
Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Mrs. Marvel. Mrs. Maisel's what popped in my head.
Oh,
I crossed the two.
Yeah.
Mrs. Marvel, and it was a body paint. And it was amazing. And they did them live, and then they did a guy after. And so we had like a little private viewing. We were just watching, and there comes the lizard. And I was like, this is just the strangest place. But it was so fun. And I did a live demo, which was a lot of fun to do those. And I made like a gauntlet off of someone else's arm, which was my first time doing that. Usually I did 2 maker panels. One where I built my Jaina gauntlet from start to scratch, which in hindsight now needs way longer than 45 minutes. Like I need an hour and a half because I only got 50% through in 45 minutes. It's too hard.
It's hard build anything in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I was going fast too, and I got the whole gauntlet made. It's all the bevels and cute stuff after.
Yeah.
And talking during it because I could just not talk and do it. And
you could, but it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining.
Yeah, they would have been so bored.
Yeah.
But so and then I did one where I wrapped someone else's arm and showed how to puff it up, like if it was like a Samus gauntlet or something. And and the craziest thing is I didn't even know if I was able to do that. Like I was like, sure, I can do this. Yeah, so I bet I can do this. And it worked. Thank God, because you never know. But And then I stayed and crafted in there during the next panel. I asked, I was like, I'll just sit off to the side and work, to stay in here. And it kept the numbers for my panel in there for that person too. And it was an improv panel. And I was like, oh, wow. I had never seen improv before. And at a con, it blew my mind. It was so unusually quirky.
Wait, so they did like an actual improv show,
an actual improv. The guy was hosting the improv panel, and he pulled people from the audience of all ages.
Oh, weird!
All costume styles.
Yeah. Oh, wow! I bet that was funny.
It was interesting. Yeah. It was. It made me realize that, like, I guess I'm gonna watch that Whose Line Is It Anyway show, because now I know what improv is, and because I love comedy. I laugh so much. Yeah. It's sometimes I'm like, is it unhealthy how much I laugh? Maybe not. But
I was just say you should check it out. But you live in a small town. But generally, like a lot of larger cities have actually like improv groups, and they'll do like improv shows like on weekends. Some of the funniest things I've ever seen is some of the improv stuff in Seattle. It was hilarious.
Oh, see, I would like to see that.
So much fun to go to.
Yeah, so. It's fun watching people like have the confidence alone is really cool. Like the fact is, and this is something that you don't see. I don't know what it is about our community, but everyone, even the shy people, will still come out of their shell at conventions. But if you plug yourself into like a beauty con or a high school or a barbecue or like a public fish fry or something, it's not the same. Like people don't have the same confidence as they do in our community. It's something really empowering at whatever the aura is that we all project onto each other. Creates this artificial insulated bubble of protection where we can,
of like confidence, right?
Yeah. It's like, dude, don't worry, you're in our bubble. You just do whatever you want. You're chill here.
Just
it's
do
safe.
It. You're good. Yeah.
It feels safe.
Yeah, I think so.
And every con
when it's going right. When it's going right. When it's going right.
Yeah, when it's going right.
Because I think other people sometimes project like the opposite. Like
for sure.
It's like that. Two groups in high school and. The ones
you can't sit with us is what
I like the ones kind of looking
you
like,
can't sit with us girls.
What are you doing, you weirdo kind of thing.
Yeah, dude.
So, but most cons,
but
most
the
groups
majority are the bubble of happiness and protection. And it's alarming when you meet the person that isn't, because it's like, oh wait, you're part of our community? Why are you acting like that then? What's wrong with you? You want it to be but you can't force people to be the way they aren't, and I wouldn't want to change anyone, but at the same time, it's whatever's caused them to distance themselves and not be comfortable and happy in the community and be guarded and be not pretentious, but to just not make themselves, I don't know, to not be easygoing about things, I guess. Yeah. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure how to label it, but you know it when you meet it. You know when you meet someone that isn't like, that the community doesn't make them comfortable and perky and happy. It affects them differently.
I think it does. I think it also it's like very individual, and it really depends on the person's personality too.
It does.
So
speaking of before, all comments great. There's obviously lots of, I had a great time. Texas was incredible. I love Texas, dude. People rock there. They were so freaking great to me. Of all the events I've done, I had a great time in Germany. But I will say, in BlizzCon obviously is a special one for me, but BlizzCon comes tainted after last year's Cardgate.
Yeah.
And this all-cons shockingly was so like refreshingly warm and cozy somehow.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Like, I had fun every single day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a large event, but it didn't matter. It was my first time being on Celebrity Row, which, haha, I also find the irony in that. I get it. I'm not a celebrity, but it was
Wait. What do you mean by Celebrity Row? Like you were there with like the actors and stuff?
Yeah, dude. They were beside me on both sides. And I was just like,
that's kind of cool though.
It was cool because
Did you feel like a fish out of water though?
Oh, for sure. And I joked, but you guys know me, and Eric knows me. Yeah. I am not the person that gets awkward and goes quiet. I'm I'm your awkward armored friend next to you, Jackie. Nice to meet you. Like
I know you think I'm weird, and you have no idea who I am, but
and this woman Natalie Jones, she has a Netflix movie right now called Dead Awake, where she's like a very scary character.
Oh, really? Wow.
She has all levels of actors I've learned now have interesting stories.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you've worked with Meryl Streep or not.
Yeah.
They've interacted with someone and they have a cool behind the scenes story.
Oh yeah.
And she had fun ones about her prosthetics and all the different just different jobs she'd done, and she was really cool. She was so nice and treated me normally, which sometimes sometimes celebrities aren't friendly. There was a celebrity there that said something I almost cussed just now. That
Whoa.
One bad celebrity thing that said a thing about fat girls.
Oh.
Which if he'd have said it in a public, if he'd have said it outside of the green room area,
yeah,
where you shouldn't feel safe in that bubble anyway. What's wrong with you? If there's a bunch of people in a protected area, that doesn't mean that they're not going to rat you out.
Especially in this day and age where it's like,
yeah,
that could easily be on video, right?
Yeah, that's my thing. I was talking to my dad about it because my dad's a fan of this person, and I was like, it's disappointing that they aren't more aware of the climate that they live in, because if I was that person's PR guy, I'd be like, dude, shut your freaking mouth, man.
Wow.
But he made a comment about I can say this because I'll never reveal who it was, because obviously I'm not going to do that. But and you guys won't be able to guess it. But he said there should be a weight limit on those costumes about the bunny hutch.
Oh.
And I thought, I'm on fire, man. I'm about to lose it, dude, because it's just not what you say. It's just not right. And I tried in my head to rationalize like the maybe this, maybe he's not bad. I don't know, dude. How do you rationalize that?
I don't know. I mean,
but even with that, the con was still fine.
Yeah, I can see how that would be disappointing though.
It is this one, but celebrities overall, like, it's rare that that happens. Like, most of these celebrities that sign up for the cons are cool people.
Are pretty cool people, yeah.
And they want to talk to you guys and us and have a good time. So, but
it's also good to remember that we all sometimes think or say things that we probably shouldn't too.
And that's what I keep thinking. I'm like, what? Maybe someone upset him. Maybe he had his feelings hurt. Maybe him and his wife fought. Who knows?
Maybe he was disappointed he didn't have his own bunny hutch costume.
Yeah, there was a man dressed up as a Guy Fieri bunny.
I saw that. I saw a picture of that. That was hilarious.
I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, wow, this is the crazy. And I tagged Guy Fieri just to be obnoxious, but he'll never. Guy Fieri's not going to get on board with that, but he should.
Well, I'm sure he probably gets like, how many people like tagging him and stuff a day. I'm sure it's just like an astronomical number. So just even seeing it would be just a miracle. So.
Yeah. And who who would do a really, who I would enjoy seeing doing a sexy Guy Fieri is Jess. I think Jess should do a Guy Fieri and just sex it right up.
And by Jess, you mean Jessica Negri, right? Jessica
Negri.
Yes. I just want to make sure everybody else knows what Jess, who you're talking about is Jess. Yeah, she could do it. I think she could pull it off.
She could do it, and it would just be so funny to have the flood of tags that people, because he'd have to see it. He would have to. He would, and it would just be so funny because that whole concept was hilarious to me. He's a goofy character in his own way. But, since we're halfway through and most of you guys haven't passed out yet or clicked off, go subscribe to our YouTube, please.
We totally forgot. I was like, we need to push YouTube a little more. Yeah. So in case you don't watch us on YouTube, YouTube's more of a secondary thing for us, but we broke it out into its own channel. Yeah. We need subscribers there so we can, do some things that we want to do with the YouTube channel. So even if you don't listen to us on YouTube, but if you have a YouTube account, just go and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to us, and it really helps our numbers and helps us get out there. Even though the audio version is really our number one version, we like to have the YouTube alternative for people, because I know some people like to see our faces and the faces of whoever we are interviewing for some interview, when we do an interview episode. So we'd appreciate the
doors
subscribe.
For us. Like we are very transparent with you guys, and it does open doors having the following on these platforms. And I like to do events and meet you guys there, and it'd be great. Eric does them on the West Coast. We like to do things together and interview people at events or have live podcasts. And like Critical Role, for example, that's a massive D&D campaign.
I can't believe how massive Critical Role is right now. It's like
insane.
It's massive.
To the point where they're able to go to events together and do live content.
Oh yeah, they did. They were at Emerald City. I mean, that was like the one thing. That was like the one thing I heard everybody talking about was Critical Role. It was just like everywhere. It's like people are like lit on fire for Critical Role. Yeah,
they're so fun to watch. Matt Mercer is one of my favorite humans that I've met in this community. He is he is what you think he is. He is nice and he is cool.
Did I tell you I met with him and hung out with him at Dragon Con but didn't know it was him?
That's amazing. That's like the most dad thing I've ever heard. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
What?
Oh no, wait, maybe it wasn't
where'd
him.
you meet him? Where were
Maybe
you?
it was Mark. Is it Mark Meir, Matt Mercer? It might have been Mark Meir. Now that I think about it, never mind. I don't think it was Matt.
Eric. Oh
I'm getting my MMs confused.
You're so funny. Oh my goodness, you crack me up.
I think it might have been Mark Meir's a guy too, right? Mark Meir.
I don't know.
Yeah, he does from BioWare or Mass Effect stuff. Actor from
okay,
is it Mark Meir?
Mark Meir.
Okay, there's like 100 people right now yelling at us. You idiot!
I know,
That's
of
so
course.
and so.
I like that though. I like when you guys are like, oh my gosh.
One of the MMs, whether it was, if I'm getting the name right or not, because I don't really know the game stuff. So, but I was hanging out. I was hanging out at Dragon Con with these couple dudes, and one of them was wearing like this a really elaborate, he was like a bat. He was like a really elaborate prosthetics and face paint. It was like super legit, right?
Like an actual bat?
Yeah, like an actual bat dude. I don't know if it was like a character from a movie or a game or something. I'm not really sure. But I stood there chatting with him for like a half an hour, and then somebody's like, "Hey, did you?" And then I was walking away or whatever. Like, "Hey, did you see so and so?" I'm like, "I just talked to that guy for like a half an hour."
Oh, that's super funny. Oh my gosh. Of course you did. Of course you did.
It just popped into my head, but yeah. Anyway,
well,
I think
someone else that I didn't recognize.
I think it's a Mass Effect guy. He's actually worn Bill's Mass Effect armor too. So that guy.
Oh well, I mean, who hasn't?
Well, yeah, but he's like the one celebrity that's like voiced in the game that has worn that armor. So
that's so funny.
Yeah, you guys can yell at me all you want. I'm showing my stupidity now in the encyclopedia of pop culture that I don't have in my brain.
That's fine. So, we learn from. I mean, it's you don't know until you know.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
this is true. I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Oh no, are you kidding? I interrupt you like 24/7. They're all laughing. They laughed at that too.
Like, they totally laugh at that. They totally laughed at that.
I don't think I try to break it actually. Like it's something I actively mentally work on, and sometimes I'm so excited it's hard, and then I'm like, shut up, stop it, calm down, just breathe.
That's the little good Jackie on your shoulder telling you to pump the brakes.
I for sure have the good and bad all the time. Real talk. I'm somebody that. I think I always have a strong inner monologue. Even at the airport, guy walks up and he's like, "Hey, could you take a survey?" And I was like, I was in the middle of telling a story, so I was like, thanks but no thanks, like super politely, but like still, I was like, oh no, that was a diva thing to do. Why the heck didn't I just stop telling my freaking story and take a survey? So what do? I'm like, hey,
you track him down.
Packed airport. I'm like, hey, that was awful of me. I'll do your survey, and then I didn't qualify anyway. Because those were international passengers. But it ate me up so much in the moment that I had dismissed this human, even though I did it politely. And he had a job where he had to run around and get rejection all day. And I was like, why am I doing this? Don't add to his rejection. Be nice, you freaking queen. So I get it. I get the good and the bad all the time.
Yeah.
My conscience just like freaking eats me up, dude.
So any fun encounters with anybody at the con?
I was there with TNT Cosplay Supply, who I freaking love. They've become like I feel like family with them. Like they make me feel so comfortable. I was treated extremely well. They are a massive business in our community, and I got to go to the warehouse, and I had a great time with I want to make sure I say hi to everyone, with Mike and Roger and Paul. And Roger's the one that wasn't at the con, but I got to meet him at the warehouse. I had fun with everybody else at the con. TNT actually, those employees that I mentioned, like Mike and Chris Talk Custom.
I say Talk, yes. Don't forget
which
Talk.
I love. That guy's freaking amazing. Dude.
Shout out to Talk.
He's amazing. What the actual heck, dude? If you guys don't know who Talk Custom is, you're doing yourself a disservice, because he's hilarious. He's in you can watch some of the snippets on my phone, but he's this guy that just always has a fun thing to do or a fun story to tell. He'll bust out an accordion because, why not? He streams on Twitch, and he makes the craziest pants. He's an insane tailor.
He is. He can
quality level tailor.
Like sew anything.
He makes his own amazing pants. I'm talking, they look like have, the way jeans have like the little rivet things and a nice zipper and everything. It's all that. And he makes them with like donuts on them and galaxy and lobsters. And it's outrageous.
Yeah. And he has a very lively live stream.
Yes, very lively. He's like a comedian.
I haven't watched him in a long time, but because
I just
I haven't been watching much streaming, but he's definitely one of my favorite streamers.
I've cut back on my streaming a lot too, actually, and it's so funny you say that because I talked to him at the con about the interesting decline of the creative side of Twitch.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's kind of seemes like it's maybe in a lull right now or something.
It's in a lull, and I think it's because the Force added all those channels under the Amazon acquisition, and it flooded the like browse and easy to find kind of section.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I used to have Twitch on all the time in my background, like whenever I'm working on stuff, and I don't know, maybe because sometimes I'm streaming myself, but I don't really stream on Twitch anymore. Mostly just because of technical reasons. I just always had issues with Twitch. Was just always such a pain in the butt. And I like every time I wanted to, there was always something, even though everything worked perfectly the last time I streamed. And me too. And I just got totally tired of like it always being an issue. That's why if I am going to stream now, it's usually just on Instagram because it's quick and easy, and I never have setup problems.
Yeah.
So that's where my biggest following is. So the more people are going to find me there anyway. So
it's true though. It's my biggest is on Instagram too, and my most active. Like I actively, people that respond to my stories, I respond to. Like
same here.
I try to stay connected, but I don't do that on every other platform because it's too much.
Either. Yeah, you have to kind of choose one, and I chose Instagram a couple years ago, even before Facebook bought them out, and I have noticed a decline though because they really want you to buy space now, and it's starting to like taper off for me, which is unfortunate. So.
It's tapered off for me too, except for the stories. My feed, I rarely post in because most of you guys, when you want to reach out to me, respond to the story.
To stories, yeah. And I try to do stories, but I don't really feel like I'm much of a story guy. So
but I like your live crafting is your story. Like that's
true. That's true. Yeah, and then I found, leveraging the Crafting Geek account, I found a way to do two cameras. So
it's helpful, dude. I was like, yeah, Eric, getting it. Yeah. You know, we are we don't try to push our podcast on anybody. We've let most people naturally find us, but there's a point when you need to realize like you should promote yourself a little bit more. You know, like don't forget to mention you have a podcast. Yeah,
I kind of sometimes I just forget. So
even though it's like a big part of what we do, because this is like our talk show essentially.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of great guests from the community too. A lot of people that a ton of people really look up to as far as creators and builders and stuff go.
Our season 2 is powerful. Like we enjoyed season 1, and when the feedback was so good, we're like, oh, let's just make it even killer. Let's just kill season 2 and make it like great guests. Like we've got Ricky Riddle. You guys know Riddle. Riddle's gonna be a guest.
Yes.
Leanna Vamp. I've talked to her, and she's gonna be a guest. We don't know deadline yet, or we don't know timeline. I reached out to who else do we have coming? Oh, Jedi Amanda's coming.
Love Jedi Amanda. Looking forward to that one. Who I met her finally in person at Dragon Con last year.
And we want we need that good seamstress on. Alicia Marie has a very busy schedule, but also is a good friend.
She's also very interested.
Yeah, very interested. Yep. And these are people we want to mix it up because there's people that have been in our community and then popped off and created interesting careers for themselves.
Yeah, and are still maybe creating, but not necessarily cosplay creating, or kind of a hybrid of the two, or all those
or
kind
you
of
still
things.
see them a lot at events, and you maybe have things you want. You're like, I would love to just know more about how this person got here.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a simple thing. Yeah. So.
And should we say who was on next week? Who we have for next week?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we should.
Yeah. So we have Harrison Cricks from Vulcan Proc next week.
Oh yeah, Vulcan, and it is a dang good podcast episode.
We might have already recorded it before this one.
Yeah, we did record it. But it's so good, like having him on, again, we listen to the audience. We know what you guys want. We see the people you follow and also comment on. We're very attentive to that. And Harrison was one that we had to have Harrison,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we both know him pretty well. So, and something I forgot to mention is like, he was one of the very first makers, of like the, kind of that people recognizable makers to to give us a shout out way back when we started too.
Yes, you're right.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
He gave us a shout out on Twitter, like 2 or 3 episodes in, like when we first started a couple years ago. So he was one of the first, like somebody what I consider like name recognition in the community to be like, hey, check this podcast out. So I forgot to thank him for that while we were on.
I know, me too. But you're right. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good guy. And and it's amazing. A lot of you guys that listen, well, Eric is really good at as soon as you mention us, he puts you on the stories. Like he's lightning speed fast because we appreciate it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
We appreciate the
organic
feedback.
advertising that comes from people that actually like your thing. That's the best kind of advertising, not like paid forced ads trying to get new listeners.
Yeah,
It's nice
because
when you guys word of mouth.
I'm not even convinced that the paid ad stuff even helps. So
Dude, I know.
I don't know.
Liz like she's had meetings. She had a big meeting with a Facebook ad manager person to like talk about it, and because she runs a store that does well.
Yeah.
And man, finding out like the way that stuff works is mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy actually.
I'm actually kind of convinced that the companies that have created these things, like whether it's, YouTube's algorithm or Facebook's, whatever their algorithm is, that I kind of feel like the people that have created these things don't even really know how they work completely.
Yeah.
Like almost like the creation is taken over and the creator can't control it anymore.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels that way to me. Like they don't really know.
Outlets.
Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Like other things are heavily influenced. Like, let me tell you an interesting example that has nothing to do with crafting. But you know what? Okay, if we ever do have a conspiracy theory episode, y'all be like, Shane Dawson, who? Because this girl has I have the most advanced PR, marketing, and corporation related conspiracies. Like Matt and I will sit and talk. Even last night, I gave him this whole rundown about a way I felt behind the scenes of a company, and he was just like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." I was like, "Dude, I know. I just need someone else to believe me." But I will say that I went to Google, "man brings steer into PetSmart," and there were no results, despite this being an article that was on Reddit, New York Times, everywhere. And I thought, why? It's because it was Petco, and PetSmart had paid whatever money they paid Google to flush out any chance of it being Petco.
Yeah, that's
and
possible.
For the first 2-page results being nothing mentioning a front page story on everything else, then you type in PetSmart, every single result is tons of it. And I was like, dang, the power, dude.
Do you ever use DuckDuckGo?
No, but someone booked a room on my hotel with DuckDuckGo, and I clicked on it, and I was like,
search?
What's this? Incognito, dude.
So they kind of have like Google-like results, but they don't do any of the region bubbling and tracking and all the things that kind of... Because the more you Google one thing, the more it tailors to that certain thing, and even like to your region and stuff. And so the results you get aren't exactly just every result. It's like what Google is guessing you want, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And DuckDuckGo doesn't do any of that kind of stuff. So I use them quite a bit.
I'm gonna start using it actually, because
still
the gaming side of Google
still
sucks.
Not as good of results, because the problem with Google is it gives you really good results, but it's my favorite out of all the ones that are trying to be more privacy conscious. But
I just put water on my face.
Not that I never use Google, but I try to stay away from Google as much as I can. But
I've actually, like, the privacy thing, I feel like ever since I played Atlas, I don't think I talked about it in this podcast, but when you hear the Harrison podcast, we did talk about playing a pirate game, but I played Atlas for a while over the holidays, and I sunk the 17-year-old kid's boat, and he IP freaking traced me and posted it in Discord, because it's a public Discord. That's how these servers work. Yeah. Because he was so mad because I sunk his boat, and he was like try hard, but like the way kids talk smack, and And he got banned because he did it without any provocation. Like, I didn't provoke this kid at all. I sunk his boat in a video game.
You did the thing that you're supposed to do.
I did the thing you're supposed to do. Like, no, I didn't grief him. There's nothing like that. And it was so interesting to see how he went from 0 to 100 and just decided to go through the Steam backend and Battle Metrics, which is a website. If you don't know about it and your kids are playing any game that's a survival game, all your IP stuff's out there. Prepare yourselves.
Wow. Crazy.
Battle Metrics, you can actually trace what server someone's on, like where their boat's gone in and out of, which shamefully, I've done a couple times, but I would never share someone's public information. That seems psychotic.
Yeah, that's a little over the top.
Yeah, and luckily I had routed through a different server and it showed up like my region, but not like my actual area. But I just thought, like, dude, I got to be more careful. I think I got to use a VPN, just be a little more safe about things. Like, just seems... Yeah.
It kind of seems like an eventual thing that everybody has to go to, right?
Yeah.
So,
like, is that going to be the norm? Like, we're all going to be using VPNs in like 10 years? And that'll be like a mainstream built-in service even.
It wouldn't surprise me, you know?
Yeah, it wouldn't, but anyways, so I don't even actually know how we got on this tangent, which is so shocking.
It's weird. We hardly ever tangent off into like technical or like computerish type talk, you know? So not that it's that technical, but usually it's.
But those of you with kids that we have people that listen as families, and we have some that have young kids, and it's like it's an interesting world that's changing, and it's it's not like the old geezer in me that's like, oh, back in my day you could just play, I played mahjong all day online in Yahoo chat rooms, that's gone. But it's definitely, and somebody's laughing at that because they also were probably with me in those Yahoo chat rooms playing mahjong online.
Probably.
Because it was an online gaming was limited, but.
Do we have any other Alcon or Emerald City stuff we want to talk about?
I think you're at it. Let me tell you an interesting thing though. This was the first event where I didn't have to do anything with a costume contest. That's never happened before.
Really?
I was just like a celebrity guest.
Yeah.
And and I have to say, it's run by another podcast group of people, which is freaking cute. I think it's called CosPod. I think it's their name.
I've listened to CosPod before.
Yeah, I thought that was freaking radical, dude. That it was, that's cool. But it left me with this weird feeling of, well, what do you guys else? You feel like, do I need to do something else? Am I not doing enough? I did do 2 maker panels, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah. But you want to there's this sense of no matter you want to obviously be treated fairly and paid fairly for your work, but you also want to make sure you're a good guest. You deliver as a good guest and you shine where you should shine. And so, but it was a great success. It was a wonderful event, and they did the costume contest was packed. But when you aren't involved in the costume contest as a cosplay guest, that always makes you feel like, you're maybe not doing enough, I don't know what it is.
It felt like you weren't earning your way completely.
Yeah, I felt like I wasn't earning I was like, am I earning my keep? Like, should I just show up at the contest and be like, hey y'all, I'm here?
Well, you were in the celebrity section, so maybe they just thought you were too important to,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You. You. Oh my gosh. But anyways, one thing that I wanted to mention, and this might, whatever, who cares? The ECCC thing, I watched the contest live, and I watched C2E2 this last weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody else feels this way. So for starters, holy balls, the costumes in C2E2, which ECCC is a part of, the winner.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Some of them are just so shockingly insane, and the quality has risen. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. But I will say I have a weird feeling about I'm glad I don't have that itch. I get it. Some people have that fire in them to compete, and it's not I doubt it's ego driven. It's more like some kind of fun validation or personal challenge. People compete for a lot of different reasons. But the contest, I can't put my finger on it, but something feels off. I don't enjoy it. Doesn't make me feel the same way that some contests make me feel.
Yeah.
It stresses me out a little bit in this weird anxiety way. I watch it and I'm just like, what's that? It's there's a movie. Let me tell you, watching the C2E2 contest last night, those of you listening, tell me if this is just me in a bubble and I'm seeing things in my own creative or my own weird way, but I see it and it reminds the first thing to pop in my head. I leaned to Matt and had to tell him was, you ever seen that movie Idiocracy? And I was like, this feels like, and this was after the commercial and everything that occurred during it. And this was towards the end before they did the winners. And I was like, it feels a little it just feels a little bit like that movie. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. And I couldn't figure out why, but I just felt like, I'm glad I'm not up there. Y'all are way tougher than I am because there's so much about this that would stress me out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only watched a few contests, and only usually because my friends were competing in them, but I've never competed, so
yeah,
it's just never been something.
And that's not a reflection on the contestants even a little bit.
No.
Yeah,
and
just to be clear,
shout out to our good friend Kinpatsu Cosplay, because she placed she placed second in the world.
Second.
So
yeah, and also Genoza costuming Brittany.
Yes.
We got her shout out, and Cowbutt Crunchies.
Well, okay, so Brittany won her.
That's how
Brittany won her region, right?
Yes.
So she was number one in her region.
Yeah.
And then Cowbutt Crunchies took the whole thing.
Yeah, which
I've never met. Have you ever
guys,
met? Have you ever met cowbutt crunchies? I've never met any.
No, I can't believe I haven't either, because we've been a few places at the same time, but usually it was like Katsucon, which is a hard one to find your friends sometimes because it gets so packed in little areas. But and everybody's wearing like Katsucon's usually a con where everybody's wearing their really big fun stuff. Yeah. So sort of like what ECCC used to be for you guys. PNWs, and I only know that because someone asked when I was coming to the PNW, and it's straight up Googled on my computer right now.
PNW.
Because I was like, "What is that? What are they asking me about?" I know, Pacific and you Northwest. Told me before. Yep. And I got it. I was like, "Dang, they have a cute little like name for themselves and stuff."
Yeah.
But yeah, they it's Cowboy Crunchies. Their work's insane. That thing, and I'm partial to Britney because I just love Britney, but. I couldn't have chosen. It was Taylor, that chess piece, Genpatsu. Oh, yeah. How did they choose?
And of course, Taylor, we know from hanging out with the Germany Comic Con for a weekend, which she's just like.
We should have her on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I'm working on it. So,
I just talked to her this week, and I didn't think that. Well, I shouldn't have mentioned.
I've hit her. I asked her about it when we were in Germany, and I've hit her up a couple different times. But it's just when somebody's in a completely different country, it's really hard to find schedule. So it's hard enough with just the two of us, just with the time change between the two of us. The time difference, and then you add somebody on the other side of the planet. And
as con season gets on, that's even harder because the hours in which you can give up are limited. But
she totally wants to be on. So
and she'll be so freaking fun. So I don't know how they chose. Like judging is
super fun to talk to. So
she is. She's actually she is the nice person that you think she is.
She absolutely. I was blown away by just her, and she's very like self-depreciating, and I love those kind of people. It's my kind of person. Yeah, when they're amazing and then they're like humble, and it's not a fake humility, it's like they're actually a humble person. It just blows me away. I love that.
Yeah, speaking of that, just because it occurred today, I put a post up privately, because you don't put it publicly because I don't know, it's discouraged using your social media like that. So I put it privately, like asking for people that were qualified under a certain layer of fields that I am not as good at, and I'm not above saying that. We've talked about it before and stuff. And so I want to hire people and pay them fairly that can do the work that I can't do, so that I don't have to turn a job down. If the budget's there, someone's got to do it. Why I can gladly manage it and hire it out, and then you get to elevate someone else from your community, which is the best feeling ever when somebody, because a lot of people want that. They want an industry job. They just don't know how to break in. And if you have the ability to help a friend out in their chosen career, do it, because you'll feel great. They'll feel great. The world will reward you. It's just a good idea to be kind to your fellow human. And I would have put something, Sam, you guys like how freaking long-winded I am about everything. Can I just ever tell a story that's straight to the point? My gosh, I can't just say, Sam Bio Cosplay replied and said, "If I don't know if my stuff is up to snuff, but and I'm like,
oh no, Sam's and Sam, he won.
You're humble, Henry.
He took first in technical or something too.
Yeah.
So was it technical or armor or I don't remember what.
Their categories confuse me.
His troll was amazing. Along with our friends, the Egg Sisters, who also
I saw the pictures of them together. And
their troll was amazing. So we know a lot of awesome people. That's all I got to say.
I feel like we all know each other.
We do.
That's the best freaking part, dude. Because I don't know any other community that's this chill. Yeah. I was watching a YouTube video. Side note, because I just like to talk to you guys. That's how weird I am. I was watching a YouTube video with I don't remember who, and that's not important. And they were asked. Who were their weirdest YouTubers they met, or the ones that creep them out? Because this was a creepy YouTuber that was interviewing other ones. Amelia Fart's her name. It just came to me. And they said beauty gurus. Beauty gurus just creep me out. I was like, what? What an interest. What if they are all extra weird and creepy? Cause
I don't know. I don't know any beauty gurus. So.
Well, because cosplayers, to the outside, it's like, ooh, who are all these like dressed up and wearing crazy prosthetics and looking freaky? But we're all like chill and so fun to hang out with each other. What if the beauty gurus are skinned people, and they like pull their skin off and they're like aliens?
You just offended every beauty guru out there now. I hope you know. I'm just saying.
I don't think so. I don't think that's offensive. I think like if you're an alien and you're wearing human skin and doing makeup, like I don't think you care if people well, maybe they don't want to be figured out.
Yeah, but it does bode well for like why they would be good at makeup, right? Because you're
see, they've observed us for all these years and they've mastered it.
Talk about the conspiracies. There you go.
It's too weird. Me and Liz in our tinfoil hats. It's her fault, Liz Brickley. Gosh, I wish Liz was still. I know, obviously, a lot of you guys know Liz from her work back in the day, and her Mercy video is over 100 and some thousand views, and it still pops up occasionally in my YouTube search. I'm like, girl.
And she was a guest on our original season too, like way back when. So.
But she loves a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So she rubbed off on me. I couldn't stop it. So.
All right, I think we're at that time.
I know.
Time to say goodbye. We're wrapping this one up.
What's that? So long. Very well. Avita. What is it? Avitas. Oh gosh, I'm not doing it. I won't do it.
Wiedersehen, I think.
Wiedersehen. There you go.
Wiedersehen. I don't know.
Is that what
we were in Germany? You think we'd know? Well, I guess that was Austria. So, in the movie, aren't they an Austrian movie?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I just offended all our European friends that are from Germany and Austria. So there you go.
Dang it, we're so sorry.
All right.
Our friend Santa's going to Switzerland this year, I think.
What's that?
Santa's going to Switzerland, I'm pretty sure, this year.
Yes, Egg Sisters are too. They're going to be at the same con together.
Egg Sisters. So, so our European listeners, you guys have got to, if you're going, to the con, I'm not forcing you, you must go. You have to say hi to Egg Sisters for us, give them a hug, and treat them really well because they are amazing.
Well, and now that you brought up Santa, I completely just didn't even think about. I got to spend some time with him in Emerald City, which is great. So, and then a couple days ago before he left, I took him to Katsu Burger, which is.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. What is it though? What's Katsu Burger?
Do you know what Katsu chicken is? You've ever had Katsu chicken?
Yeah, I love Katsu chicken.
Okay, it's Katsu chicken in a burger, or beef, a Wagyu beef, or pork. And it's
oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
Completely
that makes sense. I saw the lettucey stuff that was on the top.
Yeah,
that's just like the katsu.
Yeah, well, that's actually
it's cabbage.
Cabbage, yes.
Yeah, I get it with my chicken katsu.
Yeah,
and
so
I saw that on the burger, and I was like, what a weird burger. Now I get it.
Oh yeah, no, it's deep fried meat, katsu style, on a burger. There's a couple in this area. It's a local thing. Love it.
Dang, that sounds good. Man, that makes me want to come to the PNW even faster.
You got to come to the PNW and have a katsu burger. You ain't living unless you have one. He had the Godzilla Attack, which is has a spicy wasabi-based sauce as well as a really thick layer of pickled jalapenos on it. It's amazing.
Wow. If you like
hot things. There's regular too, so you can have
I'll get regular because I don't like spicy. But
yeah, if you like spicy, it's called Godzilla Attack. That's where
the name is so good.
Right? It's a cute little restaurant with all these cute little the style, kind of the chibi kind of the chibi style kind of thing.
Chibi style?
Yeah, it's cute.
How do you know what that is? How do you know what chibi is?
I have daughters.
I know. I'm just kidding. I know exactly.
They know all the cute things.
Yeah, they do. That's cute. Well, one day we'll have our family on, when we have a talk show.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I think we rambled long enough.
We have, yeah. Thanks for listening to the 5 people that made it all the way to the end. Because a bunch of people were like, I'm done.
I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pick the final word, and it's Katsu Burger.
I was gonna say let's do Katsu Burger. Wow.
Were you really? Wow. One mind right there.
Heck, dude.
Okay, we're out. Katsu Burger. See you later.
Bye, guys.
See you next time on Craft and Geek. Bye.